This is Winefire, and I really love anime. Breathtakingly beautiful worlds brought to life with stellar animation, vibrant and pulse-pounding action, and amazing characters whose unforgettable personalities leave an indelible mark on your very being. Brilliantly crafted stories filled with moments that make you feel every emotion on the spectrum, bitter hatred and sweet love, gut-wrenching sadness and profound happiness, grim despair and also the light of hope. Sometimes it's a mix of everything all at once, and at others you really have no idea how to feel. There are so many wonderful things about this medium. It's truly incredible, and I feel like I was largely missing out on so much of what it had to offer, staying in my comfort anime shows for years, very rarely wandering outside of my shonen bubble. But that all changed about a year ago. I watched a particular anime which I'll mention later when it comes up on the tier list, and it made me want to explore more new shows. Between starting on December 15th, 2021 and ending on December 14th, 2022, I watched a whopping 230 new anime, all but a few being completely new franchises to me. 217 anime series and 13 standalone movies, most of which were recommendations from my friends and family who are just the best. They have some great taste, and they deserve all the bippies in the world for sharing these wonderful stories with me. It has been an absolutely wild ride. Thanks, guys. I wrestled with myself for a while trying to figure out how I wanted to do this video talking about so many anime, and I figured a tier list would be the best bet. I can briefly talk about each series I watched over the last year as they come up, and you can all see exactly how much I personally like each one based on where they are placed. S tier being my personal favorite shows, A tier are amazing, they're just short of perfection for me. B tier are great anime, generally have one or two strong traits that make them stand out above the average fare. C tier is the average fare. These are the shows that I felt pretty impartial towards. I didn't particularly like or dislike them. And then finally the D tier are the handful of shows that I did dislike. Now, without further ado, let's get into this. Starting things off with 86. Even though military anime aren't generally my thing, I thought this one was good. It had great emotional moments and strong action. Solid B tier for me. Up next, A Couple of Cuckoos. This one is pretty funny and has a good love rectangle going on, also gonna put it in the B tier. Now we have A Place Further Than the Universe. This series was really cute and motivating, also has some really great emotional moments too. Also goes in B tier. On to A Silent Voice. This movie is brilliant, emotional and captivating from start to finish, one of the best movies I've ever seen and my first S tier pick. I absolutely loved it. A Sister's All You Need. This show was really funny and not afraid to throw in the raunchy adult humor. I had a good time with it. B tier. A Whisker Away is next, and this was a delightfully fun and also heartwarming story. Very imaginative and unique. Easy B tier. Absolute Duo. I really liked this one. I felt the relationship between the main characters was very endearing. Gonna give this one an A. I had a great time. Next we have Aharen is Indecipherable. This is one of the most adorable rom-coms for sure. The main characters are so cute together, and it's pretty funny too. Definitely an A tier pick. Akashic Records of Bastard Magic Instructor is good. I like the main character's general attitude and the way of carrying himself. He's so fun. B tier for me. Akiba Maid War. This one has such an insane and surreal concept, but the series completely embraces it and goes all in, and it makes for a really cool watch. Another solid B tier in my opinion. Akudama Drive was alright. It looked great and had some cool characters, but didn't really resonate with me much. C tier. Angel Beats. I loved this series so much. Great music, amazing characters, and a story filled with strong emotional moments that definitely leave an impact. One of my favorites and an easy pick for the S tier. Anohana does a phenomenal job at hooking you in and then never letting go. Always keeps things interesting and some of the most touching scenes I've ever seen. Follows Angel Beats into the S tier for sure. Another is a really awesome thriller anime, filled with oh my god moments that leave your chin on the floor and a very interesting mystery. A tier. Ao-chan Can't Study is freaking hilarious. The characters and the humor are all perverted, and it's a fun ride. I'm also gonna give it an A. Arifureta. I thought this was a pretty good isekai series. I like the main character, which is pretty rare for me with this genre, and the rest of the cast is good too. Solid B tier. Arknights, Prelude to Dawn. This anime is gorgeous and well animated, but I wasn't too invested in the characters and story. I feel like I probably would have enjoyed it more had I played the game beforehand, but I still wanted to give it a shot. C tier. Ascendance of a Bookworm. This one was alright. Too technical, I suppose, for my liking. Not really much going on, I felt like. Just didn't really resonate with me. C tier. Asobi Asobase was kinda hit or miss for me. Sometimes it was really funny, and others just creepy as hell. Not really my cup of tea, another C tier. Assassination Classroom is pretty funny, with some good action, and some good emotional moments too. I had a pretty good time with it. B tier. Up next we have Baccano. I felt this one had too many moving parts, and aside from the bumbling couple, I didn't particularly like any of the characters. C tier for me. Bakemonogatari. I thought was pretty good. It had intriguing mysteries and great characters. I like anime like this that keep my mind busy trying to piece together what's going on. Really good. B tier. Next we have the Baki Netflix series, and oh boy, this might be a hot take, but I do not like Baki. I can see why people do like it, but there are just too many things that rub me the wrong way. It's vulgar and grotesque at times, just not really for me. D tier. Beastars really surprised me. Between the concept and the animation style, I was very hesitant going in, but it was great. It has very strong characters and an interesting story that fully utilizes them being animals. A tier for me. Beast Tamer is super fun. The cast are adorable, and it's full of warm moments that make you feel good all over. A tier, sure. Next up, we have Because I Don't Like My Big Brother at All. I think this one is pretty funny. It's perverted as hell, but funny. B tier. Belle is gorgeous, and the musical numbers were amazing. The characters and story were engaging too. Very good movie. B tier. Black Butler is alright. The character designs are really cool, but aside from that, I didn't really vibe with it too much. C tier for me. Bloom Into You was frustrating to watch. The main character's indecisiveness in particular, I didn't like it much. D tier. Bocchi the Rock, on the other hand, I freaking love. This show is absolutely hilarious. The characters are all great, especially the main character. Her reactions to even simple, mundane things are priceless, and the wacky animation style used from time to time are just as funny. Solid A-tier show. Bofuri is really cute. The cast is fun and very likable, and I like the twist on the genre, with the main character being more defense-based rather than offensive. Another A-tier. Next we have bottom-tier character Tomozaki. Extremely lovable cast of characters with great dynamics. Can't wait to see more of this in the future. Easy A-tier pick. By the Grace of the Gods was alright. I thought it was cute and chill, which is pretty nice for an isekai, but didn't really do too much for me. C tier. Next is Call of the Night. I really enjoyed the chill atmosphere of this show. It was super fun, and the budding relationship between the main characters is very endearing. Really great show. Definitely an A tier for me. Planet Cuties was fun. The characters were very likable, and there were some unexpectedly strong emotional moments too, far more than just fan service. B tier. Cautious Hero is freaking hysterical. The main character's overreactions to everything are priceless, and there's also some really good feels moments too. Another solid B tier pick. Chainsaw Man. This anime was by far the most hyped anime of the year, and I think it mostly delivers on it. Phenomenal animation with some of the best action sequences I've ever seen, and an interesting world and characters. Very solid A tier anime. Chihayafuru was okay. I liked how the characters learned really interesting ways to get better at the game they played, but didn't really vibe with me much outside of that. C tier. Chivalry of a Failed Knight was pretty good in my opinion. I thought the relationship between the main characters was very endearing. Solid B tier. Citrus was alright. I liked it better than Bloom Into You, but it has some of the same issues. C tier. Clannad is amazing. The characters are very memorable, and the emotions come flooding out from the show. Definitely one of my favorite animes, and an excellent addition to the S tier list. One of the best. Classroom of the Elite is interesting in some ways, but I really don't like the overall negative tone of the series. C tier. Code Geass. I only watched season 1, and though I thought some concepts were brilliant, I never really resonated with any of the characters, and the military strategy side of the show is just kinda dull to me. My friends say it gets better later on, so I may pick it back up again in the future, but at least for now, I put it in C tier. Colorful, the motion picture, is a really good story with a powerful message. I liked it quite a bit. B tier. Now we have Cyberpunk Edge Runners, and just wow. This series was fantastic. Excellent designs and phenomenal animation. Strong and unforgettable characters with emotional hits throughout. Even though I've never touched the Cyberpunk video game, it didn't stop me from being absolutely absorbed by this anime. It's one of the best I've ever seen. Definitely an S tier for me. Defrag is really cute and funny. The cast have great chemistry and their antics are very enjoyable to watch. B tier. Daily Lives of High School Boys is really funny. I love the self-aware humor and the fourth wall breaks, and generally had a blast with this one. B tier. Danchi Guy is super cute. The main character and his sisters are absolutely adorable together, and it's filled with so many heartwarming moments and feels. Darling in the Franxx was really unique and interesting to me. I liked the characters, and though the story went kind of crazy near the end, I still overall massively enjoyed this series. A tier for me. Darwin's Game was okay. I didn't really dig the tone of the show. C tier. Death Parade, though, was an awesome anime. One of the coolest and most unique shows out there. Unforgettable characters and moments that hit you right in the feels with a sledgehammer. S tier pick for me. Demon Slayer lives up to all of the popularity in my opinion. Great characters, strong emotional beats, and some of the best action animation I've ever seen. Easily an A tier. Devilman Crybaby is a case of love and hate for me. While I think it's objectively brilliant, I can't say I really liked it. Just way too dark for my taste, but I'm still very glad I watched it. B tier. Do You Love Your Mom and Her 2-hit multi-target attacks? This one is really cute and filled with a bunch of heartwarming moments. It's an ecchi series, but it's not super heavy on that in my opinion, mostly just for the comedy. A tier. I had a fun time. Domestic Girlfriend is good in my opinion. I like the main cast, and the romance drama is very interesting throughout. B tier for me. Don't Toy With Me, Miss Nagatoro. I love this anime. The teasing humor is fun for me, and the budding relationship between the two leading characters is cute underneath the teasing, and interesting to watch develop. A tier, easy. Next we have Dr. Stone. I might have another hot take here, but I didn't enjoy Dr. Stone. It was too technical for me, with not really enough going on. I was bored most of the time. D tier. Sorry, peeps. Dusk Maiden of Amnesia was really great. I loved the relationship between the main characters, and it had unforgettable emotional moments. A tier for me. Elfenlied was so damn good. Loved the cast, and the story here is brilliantly told, leading to very powerful moments. Another A tier pick. Next we have Engage Kiss. This one has great characters with some pretty spicy drama going on as well. B tier. Erased is one of the best shows I watched all year. It kept the gears in my head constantly turning, my nerves on end and heart pounding throughout, awaiting the next exciting turn in the story. Deservedly S tier, one of my favorites. Fate Grand Order Babylonia was good in my opinion. Fun characters and an interesting world. Solid B tier. Fate Stay Night was less so to me. I didn't really vibe with the characters or their servants. C tier. Fate Zero, same as above. C tier. Fire Force has some cool concepts, great character designs, and action to boot. Pretty great. B tier. First Love Monster is pretty meh. It's an attempt at a funny spin on seeing things through a kid's perception, but it didn't really work for me. C tier. Food Wars was pretty funny, though admittedly the joke kind of gets old fast. I only watched one season of this, but I feel like I got a pretty good taste of what it had to offer. B tier. Fruits Basket. A friend of mine warned me when I was jumping into this show. She said it's basically anime Twilight, and wow, she was so on point with that in my opinion. I didn't really like it, but I could see why some people would. C tier for me. Fuka is really fun. The characters were very likable and the romance drama is intriguing. Solid B tier. Girlfriend. This one on the outside seems like it'd be pretty scummy, but it actually proved to be really adorable and wholesome. Pleasantly surprised. A tier for me. Girls und Panzer. It's cute girls, driving tanks and military games, spreading positive vibes to help each other push to victory. What's not to love here? B tier. Given was a mixed bag for me. I like some things, but not others. C tier. Grave of the Fireflies. This movie is so powerful, an unforgettable story, huge emotional impact. B tier. Grimgar Ashes and Illusions is such a refreshing take on the isekai genre for me. I love how the characters struggle with even the most basic monsters, and the emotions are felt so strong in this too. Also one of the most gorgeous art styles I've ever seen, especially the backgrounds. They are stunningly beautiful, and I got lost in them. Easy A tier. Gundam Build Divers Re-Rise. Was lame. Doo-doo tier. Next. Gurren Lagann is an absolute delight. Bombastic and lovable characters, amazing visuals, and some epic levels of attitude. Loved the ride. A tier for sure. Haikyuu was pretty neat. I loved the team dynamic going on and the characters were fun. C tier. Hajime no Ippo. I liked the characters in this. They were pretty fun and relatable, especially the main character's friend. I found him to be really endearing. C tier. Hanebado. I didn't like the more negative tones in this one, and the characters frustrated me. D tier. Happy Sugar Life. Just wow. There are so many things I dislike in this anime, I don't even know where I'd begin. I'll save some time though. D tier. I hated it. Harem in the Labyrinth of Another World was another one I didn't like, which is sad considering it had some cool concepts going for it, but favors the fan service over those interesting ideas, to its detriment. Another D tier for me. Hensky is extremely funny. The characters are all really entertaining and quirky, and it even has some really good emotional moments too. A tier. Higehiro was fantastic to me. Great characters who have unfortunately suffered a great deal with very strong dramatic moments throughout. I felt like this was a pretty unique show. S tier. High School DxD. Oh boy, here we go. Our first D-Gen series. For real though, I actually like this anime, and I find the cast to be really fun and endearing. More than just fan service. B tier for me. Higurashi When They Cry is such a mindbender, I freaking loved it. It constantly keeps you on your toes, keeps your nerves high. Thriller series done right. A tier. Horimiya is one of the most realistic and strong romance anime I've ever watched. Very good characters and story. A tier for sure. I Can't Understand What My Husband Is Saying is a short form anime with some pretty funny little stories here and there, but not too memorable. C tier. I Want to Eat Your Pancreas. This one has great characters who go through an unforgettable and emotional story. One of my favorite movies, easily S tier. I'm Quitting Heroing had some cool ideas going for it. I liked how helpful and friendly the main character is, but aside from that, it kind of felt generic. C tier. Ikitosen just didn't vibe with me at all. It felt like an endless string of tasteless panty shots, and it got old fast for me. D tier. Inspector is a delightful treat. Really funny and lovable characters, along with wicked awesome monsters and mysteries. A tier easy. Inari Konkon was cute and had some warm moments, but was otherwise pretty forgettable to me. C tier. Infinite Stratos is really enjoyable. Great cast and it's hilarious. One of my favorite harem anime for sure. A tier. Interspecies Reviewers, another D-Gen series done pretty well, honestly. Funny characters and unique insights into each of the various monster girls, perverted though they may be. B tier for me. Interviews with Monster Girls. This one is so adorable. I love the cute monster girls bonding with their teacher, both parties learning to deal with their unique problems. Very endearing and wholesome. Easy A tier. Iroduku The World in Colors is pretty solid. Good characters and story with some absolutely beautiful visuals too. B tier. Isekai Quartet. This series mixes together some of my favorite shows cast in chibi forms, and they get up to silly shenanigans. Freaking hilarious. My favorite spin-off anime for sure. A tier. JoJo's Bizarre Adventure Part 4 Diamond is Unbreakable. So I've seen the previous 3 parts of JoJo's long before this, but I finally decided to give the later parts a try this year, and I was impressed. This part of the series introduced some really interesting things that were even brought up in later parts, and the villain in this part is one of the most memorable in my opinion. A tier. JoJo's Part 5, Golden Wind. This part was phenomenal. I love the characters pretty universally in this one. Giorno, his companions, and especially the villain again, are excellent. The story is captivating, and this is probably my favorite part of the JoJo's franchise now. Definitely A tier. And now the final bit of JoJo's. Part 6, Stone Ocean. This part has some of the most inventive uses of stands in the entire franchise in my opinion. And some of the biggest emotional impacts of the series too. It joins its brethren in the A tier. Josie, the Tiger, and the Fish was a really beautiful movie. Strong characters and a great story filled with powerful emotional moments. It's my favorite anime movie hands down. It definitely belongs in S tier. Jujutsu Kaisen was another really hyped anime that lived up to it in my opinion. Very interesting characters, wicked monsters, an intriguing story, and some of the best action scenes ever. A tier easy. Kaginata is another fun chibi spin-off show like Isekai Quartet, just with characters from shows like Clannad and Angel Beats. It's a cute little show. C tier. Kaguya-sama Love is War. This is one of the most inventive and enjoyable rom-coms I've ever seen. Extremely funny characters, and the chemistry they all have together is wonderful. A tier. Kaiji was alright. I didn't really like the negative tones in this one, just not for me. C tier. Kakushi Goto is a heartwarming story about the relationship between a father and daughter, and watching it grow and seeing how much he cares for her and vice versa is one of the most satisfying treats ever, and they'll leave a mark on your heart. Solid A tier. Kami-sama Kiss is okay. I liked some of the characters' stories, but overall didn't resonate with me too much. C tier. Kill la Kill, on the other hand, was a freaking blast. Hilarious and quirky characters, bombastic, beautifully animated battles. It was a fun ride from start to finish. Easily A tier. Komi Can't Communicate is another one I really enjoyed. Komi is one of the cutest, most endearing characters ever, and watching her overcome her crippling shyness with the help of her friends is a real treat and very inspirational. Helps it's also incredibly funny too. Solid A tier. Kono Oto Tomare, Sounds of Life. I thought this one was alright. I liked seeing how hard all the characters worked together to bring their music to life. C tier. And now we reach the anime that started it all for me. Konosuba. This is probably the most pure fun I've ever had watching an anime. It's hysterical, with wonderful and lovable characters, and it opened the floodgates for me. After I saw this, I wanted to explore more, and now here I am. It's one of my absolutely favorite animes of all time, and if it wasn't already obvious, an S tier pick for me. Land of the Lustrous surprised me quite a bit. Again, I'm pretty hesitant going into 3D style animated shows, but this anime actually showed me how powerful it can be when utilized well. Really inventive character designs and concepts, and awesome action. I actually went on to read the manga as well, and wow, it just gets better in there. A tier for sure. Love After World Domination is one of the cutest, most heartwarming rom-coms out there, with a really fun concept. The main couple are just so adorable and endearing together. I loved it so much. A tier pick. Love Flops snuck up on me. At first, it felt like a pretty standard rom-com with some pretty raunchy humor, but has since transformed into something more. I'm giving it an A. Love of Kill. Not a fan of this one. I didn't like the characters and it just didn't resonate with me. D tier. Love Stage was pretty good actually. Funny and memorable characters with a pretty good romance plot going on. Solid B tier. Love Tyrant. This one is filled with funny characters whose hijinks are very enjoyable to watch. Another B tier. Lucifer and the Biscuit Hammer. I read the manga years ago and I liked it a bunch, so I was pretty hyped for the anime adaptation coming out, but man was it disappointing. It looks literally scuffed. It's got good characters and an interesting story still at least, but I feel like it could have been handled so much better. C tier. Lucky Star is an adorable and funny slice of life anime filled with fun references and Easter eggs to other franchises, which I had a really fun time spotting. B tier. Lycoris Recoil. This was a really cool original series. Memorable characters, and some of the most well choreographed and animated action scenes I've ever seen. B tier for me. Maid-sama wasn't nearly as fun as I was hoping it'd be going in. C tier. Makia When the Promised Flower Blooms was gorgeous. Beautiful world and good characters with very strong emotional impact too. B tier. Monster Girl Doctor is pretty interesting. I like how all the monster girls have unique medical disorders. That makes sense and it's funny too. B tier. Alright, time for another hot take, but I absolutely love Monster Musume. All of the girls are cute and likable, and it is hilarious. I feel like it perfectly balances lewd with adorable and wholesome too. My favorite harem anime by far, S tier all the way. Monthly Girls Nozaki-kun is really funny. The main character's obliviousness is priceless. B tier. More Than a Married Couple, But Not Yet Lovers is one of my favorites of this last season. It has a very interesting concept which naturally breeds juicy drama, and I'm looking forward to seeing more of it in the future. A tier. Miss Koizumi Loves Ramen Noodles was really boring for me, just never clicked with it. D tier. Mushoku Tensei, on the other hand, is so damn good. Rock solid and memorable characters that go through real growth, phenomenal story and world building, exquisite animation. This show really brings it all. It has some bro moments that make you facepalm for sure, and some heavy subject matter to say the least, but I think its strengths make up for that. It's one of my favorite isekais, 100% S tier worthy for me. My Dress Up Darling is an absolute delight. It's a real treasure. It's adorable and funny with one of the most endearing and lovable couples I've ever had the pleasure to watch. I don't think I've ever been so purely happy watching an anime, or frankly anything before. It's so sweet, you'll get diabetes. Without a doubt my favorite rom-com, and another easy pick for S tier. My First Girlfriend as a gal was surprisingly good and wholesome for something that on the outside seems like just another ecchi series. Really liked the main couple's relationship. B tier. My isekai life, I gained a second character class and became the strongest sage in the world. I liked how the slimes had fun and unique personalities. The title is longer than what I have to say about it though. C tier. My Love Story. This is one of the warmest rom-coms for sure. It makes you feel good all the time. Diabetes warning. A tier. My Senpai is Annoying was really darn funny. Can't help but root for all the characters. Had a good time. B tier. My Stepmom's Daughter is My Ex. I liked how this one is a spin on the genre where it's the main characters reconnecting instead of the usual meet and fall in love and live happily ever after fare. B tier. My teen romantic comedy Snafu is excellent. Relatable characters and a very engaging romance. One of the best in the rom-com genre in my opinion. A tier for me. My Wife is the Student Council President is so raunchy and it's funny as hell. Had a really good time with this one. Another A tier. New game. The cutest women ever working on fun video games and getting into silly shenanigans both on and off the clock, with a bunch of heartwarming, adorable moments throughout. Solid A tier. Nichijou is another really funny and cute slice of life show that presses the good feels buttons. B tier. Up next we have No Game No Life, and I thought this one was extremely interesting. A very enjoyable spin on the isekai genre, where games of all sorts decide everything, and it's insanely funny and entertaining to watch how the characters outwit their adversaries. A tier for life. Naruto Crawling with Love. I found it funny and endearing at times. It's pretty good. B tier. Occult Academy had some really cool ideas. Loved all the yokai, but didn't really vibe with me otherwise. C tier. Orange. The final anime I watched over the year, and I think I went out with a good one. Good characters and a very emotional story. A tier. Uresuki is freaking hysterical. This rom-com plays heavy into the comedy side of things, and it's very memorable as a result. Another great A tier pick. Ouran High School Host Club. I think this one was fun. It has a vibrant and interesting cast who are really hilarious. B tier. Outbreak Company is a really fun spin on the isekai genre, with the main character spreading Japanese culture to a fantasy world, which leads to some hysterical reactions. B tier as well. Overlord is really freaking cool. Another great spin on the isekai genre. I love telling the story from the big bad's perspective, and the series absolutely owns it. Very memorable and epically designed cast, and some really great world building too. Easy A tier for me. Panty and Stocking with Garter Belt. Oh boy, where do I start? This is one of the funniest and raunchiest shows I've ever seen. Likeable characters and the wonderful, unique art style really sticks in your head. A tier, easily. Parasite the Maxim. This is one I was pretty hesitant about going into, as I really don't like body horror, but I was pleasantly surprised when I got into it that it wasn't as bad as I'd imagined, and in fact there was a bunch of things I really liked by the end in this series. Solid B tier. Penguin Highway has some really cool concepts and amazing visuals, but the main character in particularly frustrated me a bunch. C tier. Persona 3 The Movies. This year I was introduced to the Persona franchise, and it quickly consumed my life, playing the entire mainline series of games, and following up by watching their respective animated adaptations. Of them, I actually felt the Persona 3 movies did the best job of adapting, and in many cases enhancing key scenes from the game. Small touches that make those emotional impacts have more weight, awesome characters, and an unforgettable story. A tier for sure. Persona 4 the animation also does quite a bit to improve on things from the game in my opinion, adding in some hilarious anime-only moments that really give this some extra character. The characters and story are brilliant here just as they are in the game. I had a great time with this adaptation. A tier as well. Now, Persona 5 is the one where I can agree with the general consensus that it's just not a great adaptation. Doesn't really add anything to what's there like the previous two, which is unfortunate, but it is still Persona 5 at the end of the day. Brilliant cast, interesting cognitive worlds, an engaging story with twists and turns. Still A tier. Planet With was definitely not my cup of tea. It was nonsensical and irritating to me. D tier. Now, Plastic Memories, on the other hand, was really great to me. Lovable cast with an emotional story and an incredible and unforgettable theme underlying the whole thing. Very touching anime. S tier for me. I loved it. Princess Jellyfish was really unique and fun, I thought. I loved the contrast of the shy loner and the sassy, outgoing person helping each other come out of their shells. B tier. Promare is one of the most exciting and beautifully animated movies I watched all year. Very likable cast and exciting story had me hype and interested the entire time. Definitely A tier. Psycho-Pass was neat. It has an extremely cool premise, but I didn't really resonate with any of the cast, unfortunately. C tier. Puella Magi Madoka Magica absolutely blew my mind when I watched it. The first few episodes, you're like, "Aw, this is a really cute show." And then, boy, they hit you with some of the darkest things I've ever seen. Some of the most wicked, badass, and truly unique animation too when in the witch worlds. Freaking awesome ride. A tier. Punchline just wasn't very funny to me. I found it to be annoying. D tier. Rascal Does Not Dream of Bunny Girl Senpai surprised me quite a bit. Going in blind, I was expecting something more rom-com style, but this ends up being a real mind-bender of a series with engaging paranormal mysteries, constantly keeping your brain going, and it just so happens to have a great romance on top of that. Really awesome show. A tier, easily. Hot take time again, but I just did not like Ranking of Kings much. I was pretty bored with it. The animation was extremely fluid though, I gotta say. D tier. Up next is one that's very special to me, ReZero. This one does take some time to get the ball rolling, but once it does, it's unstoppable. Some of the deepest and most layered characters you'll find anywhere, set in a fantastical and well-built world. Amazing OST that really sticks with you and stirs your feelings. Insane visuals. The cinematography on display here especially is just masterful. Many strong, emotionally impactful moments and powerful themes that have inspired me in so many ways. And it also has RAM! I could go on and on for ages about all the things I love about this series. it is without a doubt my new favorite anime, and most definitely an S tier pick. Recovery of an MMO Junkie is a delightfully fun and cute anime. The main characters are extremely relatable, and I love their chemistry. Loved it a bunch. A tier. Reincarnated as a sword, I felt was really cool spin on the isekai genre. Letting the main character kind of be the supporting character, I like the time and effort put into explaining some of the game mechanics like leveling up and gaining skills, and it has some cute and wholesome moments along the way. B tier for me. Relife is an amazing story filled with lovable characters and emotional moments that really hit you good. I loved this one. Solid A tier. Rent-A-Girlfriend. This one is so confusing to me. On one hand, it's pretty funny and the girls are adorable, but on the other hand, the main character is just infuriatingly annoying. I still like it though overall. B tier. Romantic Killer is one of the funniest rom-coms I watched. Easy. The expressions the main character makes when reacting to things are absolutely priceless. And it's got some good feels here too, with some really dark twists later on too. I had a blast with this one. A tier. Rosario 2 Vampire. Really cute harem series with very funny characters who bounce well off each other. Gets better with season 2 in my opinion. B tier. RPG Real Estate was alright. The cast is adorable and endearing, but nothing else really stuck with me. C tier. Saikano, this one really snuck up on me. I liked it a lot to start, but had no idea by the end it would be one of my absolute favorite rom-coms. Wonderful characters, beautiful story, and some really great laughs along the way. Easy S tier. I loved it. Sakura Quest was okay. It was chill and had some fun moments, but not really enough going on to keep me engaged. C tier. So this may be a hot take, but I liked School Days for the most part. I thought there were some great relationship drama elements being used here, but I absolutely despised the main character by the end of the show. Easily the biggest scumbag on earth. Despite that though, I still enjoyed it. B tier. Sekirei was good. Great harem, though I'm not too keen on how no one in the show has any concept of consent. Still, though, it was fun. B tier. Senyu. This short form anime is so freaking random and hilarious. Bunch of self-aware humor, fourth wall breaking jokes. Not really much else, though. It's just a really, really funny, random time. C tier. Shimonetta, a boring world where the concept of dirty jokes doesn't exist. This is one of the funniest, raunchiest, most insane anime I've ever watched. It's hysterical if you find humor in innuendo. This show is basically one long dirty joke and it's so freaking great. Easy A tier. Shinobi no Itoki was aggressively mediocre. I really don't have much to say. I was pretty bored. C tier. Showman Sample, on the other hand, was super entertaining, extremely cute and really funny. The quirky characters are very lovable too. I would love to see more of this. A tier. Showa Genroku Rakugo Shinju. I just didn't really dig this one. I didn't like the sour main character, and it was really boring at times. I even dropped the show at one point and came back to it months later to finish. D tier. Sing Yesterday for me. I think this one is a kind of unique romance story that tells a good message, I feel. It has relatable and likable characters, and they go through a lot together. I enjoyed it. A tier. Skeleton Knight in Another World. I think it was alright. I liked the main character, and it had some really cool oh my god moments, but not much else for me. C tier. Now for Spy X Family. This is one of the most wholesome and cute, while also being one of the most laugh-out-loud, funniest anime ever. Every episode never fails to deliver a warm smile and a hearty chuckle. One of my favorite animes, and a definite S tier. Steel Angel Kurumi is a pretty cute half-episode form anime. Likeable and pretty funny cast with some good wholesome moments too. B tier for me. Steins Gate is simply amazing. Memorable characters who go on an incredible, time-twisting and mind-bending journey to set things right. A provocative story filled with powerful emotional moments. I love shows like that keep your mind guessing, trying to piece together the mystery. It helps every other aspect of the show is also phenomenal. S tier for sure. Summertime Rendering is another anime that kept me on my toes and I loved it. Great characters and a very engaging story with pulse-pounding action to boot. Definitely A tier. Tada Never Falls in Love is a delightful little romance story with a very relatable main character that hits some really great high notes. B tier. Talked Op Destiny. I found the premise to this one to be really cool and unique. Things being based on music with pairs of conductors with their music art. A being literally born from music. Amazing concept, and I felt it was brilliantly executed with a great cast who are vibrant and likable. Strong emotional moments too. A tier for me. That time I got reincarnated as a slime. Roast me if you like, but I felt this one was pretty mid. Not a huge fan of very overpowered isekai protagonists who seemingly breeze through any and all obstacles. Just not my thing. C tier. The Ancient Magus Bride was beautiful and had some really cool ideas, but some things feel so forced with the show, the relationship between the main characters being the prime example. C tier. The Aquatope on White Sand is another very gorgeous anime. It's got some cute moments and great messages of persevering, but it feels like not much happened story-wise. Another C tier for me. The case study of Vanitas is great. It's got a very memorable cast of funny and vibrant characters, and it's got such a cool world too. A tier for me. The Devil is a Part-Timer is really fun. I love the juxtaposition of having the powerful and hyper-serious character struggling with regular day life. It makes for some hilarious moments. B tier. The Eminence in Shadow just ain't my bag. The humor just doesn't really get me outside of a few incidents here and there. C tier. The Executioner and her way of life had some really cool ideas going. I liked the twist on the isekai genre it takes, but didn't really come to like any of the cast, unfortunately. C tier. The Future Diary was wicked awesome. It's got unforgettable characters, an amazing story filled with twists, and so many holy shit moments. Freaking amazing ride from start to finish. Easy A tier. The Garden of Words was short and sweet. Very touching story packed into this OVA. B tier. The Greatest Demon Lord is Reborn as a Typical Nobody was alright. It had some cute characters and some interesting plot points, but felt pretty generic to me otherwise. C tier. The Maid I Hired is Mysterious is a pretty cute fluff anime. The main character's overreacting to everything Lilith does with suspicion, even though she's usually doing something super wholesome. Makes for some funny moments. Uber adorables anime. B tier. The Melancholy of Haruhi Suzumiya was a trip. I like mind-bending anime like this, usually, but I felt like this one was just too repetitive. Watching scenes over and over again with minor, if any, changes at all just wore me down. C tier. The Pet Girl of Sakuraso House. This one was really heartwarming and cute. I loved the cast, and it was pretty funny. Really great rom-com. A tier. The Quintessential Quintuplets. I loved the cast in this one as well. All of the sisters have unique and fun personalities, and it's hilarious. Plenty of juicy drama too. One of my favorite harem rom-coms, and an S tier for me. The Rising of the Shield Hero. There's a bunch to like here. The characters are great. Watching them bond and become stronger together is really fun. There are some things I'm not too big on, like the emphasis on slavery, and Season 2 just wasn't as strong to me. But despite that, it's still one of my favorite isekais. Solid A tier. The Seven Deadly Sins is very hit and miss. It starts off fine, gets really good in Season 2, but then just kind of consistently drops after that, leading to an ending that honestly left a sour taste in my mouth. C tier. The Way of the House Husband is freaking hilarious. Like with The Devil as a Part-Timer, I love the juxtaposition of the hyper-serious character just doing mundane, everyday tasks. It's an incredibly fun time. A tier all the way. The World God Only Knows has a neat idea going for it, but didn't really stick with me. C tier. The Yakuza's Guide to Babysitting was fantastic. It's super cute and funny on the surface, but incredibly strong emotionally underneath too. One of the most heartwarming anime I've ever watched, easily an A tier. To Your Eternity is also an awesome anime. Really awesome concept and world filled with bright and memorable characters. There are tons of extremely strong and emotionally impactful moments too. You will feel this one. A tier for sure. Tokyo Revengers is pretty great. I love the mind-bending, time-turning story. Unraveling the mystery keeps your mind going the whole time. My only gripe is it feels like it's changed its primary focus midway through Season 1. Regardless, I'm still looking forward to the next season. B tier. Tonikawa was absolutely adorable. Funny characters that are just so cute together. Diabetes warning. B tier. Toradora. This one is fantastic. Relatable cast and a delightful story. Definitely one of my favorite rom-coms, and an S tier pick for sure. Trapped in a Dating Sim was a pretty refreshing take on isekai. I love the main character and his sticking it to the man mindset. It's pretty great seeing him basically throw up a giant middle finger to all the elite douchebags he meets. B tier. Tsubasa Reservoir Chronicles had some really cool ideas and worlds, but none of the cast really resonated with me personally. I only watched the first season, so let me know in the comments if you think I should check out the rest, but at least for now it's C tier for me. Tsukimichi Moonlit Fantasy. This one had some really fun and unique characters, pretty great world building too. B tier. Suredure Children is a really fun rom-com anime following multiple couples, and they are all pretty darn endearing. Watching their relationships grow is super heartwarming, and it's so damn funny too. Easy A tier. Urusei Yatsura is a delightful blast from the past revival of an old anime. It's got lovable and super funny characters, and I absolutely love how David Productions managed to make this look both modern and retro at the same time. Really fun ride. Definitely A tier material. Uzaki Wants to Hang Out. This one is friggin' hilarious. The various misunderstandings the characters have and the conclusions they jump to inside their heads are so priceless. Definitely one of the funnier rom-coms. A tier. Vampire Knight was alright. There were a few touching moments, but overall didn't really gel with me. C tier. Vermeil and Gold I liked a bunch. The cast is likable and it's got a sweet story with a great message about acceptance and love. Very solid A tier. Violet Evergarden was absolutely amazing. Brilliantly written and emotionally charged story, very strong and memorable characters, beautiful visuals. This one takes you on a ride and I loved it. S tier for sure. Vivi, Fluoride Eyes Song was an extremely fantastic anime. Vibrant characters and a very unique story, some of the best action scenes I've ever seen, and some wonderful music sung by the characters themselves and woven into the story. Definitely one of my all-time favorites, and follows Violet into the S tier. Weathering with You was good. It had likable characters and a touching story. Beautiful visuals is an understatement. This one was gorgeous. B tier. Welcome to the NHK was alright. I liked some things in it. The holy shit moments definitely landed, but I didn't really vibe with the negative tone overall. C tier. Wise Man's Grandchild was pretty mediocre. Honestly, don't have much to say about it. It's a basic isekai harem and doesn't really do anything new or unique. C tier. Wotakoi, on the other hand, does do some really fun things in the rom-com genre, with the characters being much older than most anime casts, and so the relationships have far more mature themes as a result. It's super funny and very wholesome too. I loved it a ton. A tier, easy. Yamada-kun and the Seven Witches is another really unique rom-com with a fun body-swapping twist. Really lovable cast who get up to really entertaining shenanigans. It's a really fun ride. A tier. Time for another hot take, but I like Yosuga no-san. It has some interesting story elements that had me invested, and despite it going into some pretty strange territory in the end, I still enjoyed the anime overall. It also had one of the best OSTs I've ever heard in an anime, oddly enough. I put it in B tier. Your Lie in April is amazing. I love the cast, and the story is one of the most emotionally impactful I've ever seen. Some beautiful music too, as it's one of the primary focuses of the show. It's an S tier for me. I'll never forget this one. Your Name is a beautifully touching story connecting people across time, filled with strong and emotional moments throughout. A tier. Yuna and the Haunted Hot Springs was absolutely adorable. The cast are vibrant and funny. It's so cute and wholesome for an ecchi harem series, it's really surprising. I had a blast with it. A tier. And finally, we have Zombieland Saga. I really dug this one. I found the cast to be hilarious and super endearing. Super cute, but also a bit morbid at the same time. It's incredibly fun, and another A tier choice rounding out this list. And that's every anime I watched this year. I had a wonderful time diving into the medium as deep as I did. I feel like I have massively expanded my horizons and discovered so many new genres that are now some of my favorites. My re-anime life. It was truly an incredible experience, and I learned to stop being afraid to take the chance and to just jump right in. You never know which anime will pleasantly surprise you until you see for yourself. I'm looking forward to seeing what kinds of wondrous tales the future holds. I'd love to hear what you all have to say about the anime I covered in the list, as well as any recommendations for new shows to watch. Thank you all for watching, and take care, everyone. Bye!